Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekends with Amit, and I am your host, Krishanu. Now, this episode of Weekends with Amit is going to be a little different. It is not just about a subject and people will discuss, it is about a major announcement that we have. Center for Quantum Activism for quite some time have been doing a lot of things, and some of these things are bearing fruit, and we will know from Professor Goswami and Dr. Valentina Onisor as to what we are leading to, what we have got new to share, and how this is going to help all of you. With that, please help me welcome Professor Amit Goswami and Dr. Valentina Onisor. A very, very warm welcome to both of you. Today is a special day, and I would like you, Professor Goswami, to share the news with our friends who are watching this telecast and let them know what's in store.
Well, it is a big announcement for both readers and research scientists who want to understand consciousness in its important aspects like experiences, like subject and object. Uh, I'm talking about a journal. We have been attempting to publish a journal for some time, and now there is an organization in India, Government of India organization, that uh, approves this for the ISBN number, which is essential for publishing the journal. Now we have finally been approved. So this is very joyful occasion. We want to share this with the listener, with all our visitors of website, all my Facebook followers, Twitter, and whatever else gets me regularly. And if you have friends, please pass it on. Journal of Quantum Science of Consciousness. There are journals of consciousness, but many of them call consciousness, but they only study consciousness as an object. In other words, material models of consciousness. It is easy to understand that you cannot make consciousness out of matter, because matter can only give you objects, cannot give you a subject of experience. Experiences has two poles. Any sensible person can see that this I that we experiencer I, that cannot be eliminated. This debate goes on and on and on and on. It's a 3,000-year-old debate, maybe even longer, but all the attempts are really implicitly dualistic. Whenever materialists are claiming that we have a model, they have a model of the object aspect of conscious experience, but not the subject. What they are assuming is that the subject is implicit as a dual subject, separate from the world of matter. So it's a hidden dualism. Philosophers know it, but unfortunately, there are also philosophers who try to play the same game. There it's called pantheism. God is everywhere in all atoms and everything. That way of trying to understand one aspect of God, which is true, non-locality, but you cannot get other aspects. This is the thing. And most important aspect is that our God becomes us and we have consciousness. And when God expresses in us, it becomes split in a subject looking at object. This is the most difficult part of consciousness. Quantum physics had a huge problem called quantum measurement problem that too took us enormous time to solve, because everybody was thinking of consciousness as an object. When von Neumann finally figured out the way to do it, he also missed the nature of consciousness. It's very, very counter to what scientists, the way scientists think about consciousness. It is oneness. Consciousness is the ground of being from which everything comes. It is surprising that this approach, which was discovered some 7,000 years ago in India and then rediscovered again and again in China, in Middle East, in Greece, and perhaps in other indigenous cultures all over the world. And still, people get confused. And today's confusion, mainly, as I already have pointed out, is that we have a worldview in place. People believe it, scientists believe it, that everything is matter, and that everything is matter philosophy. You can only understand the object aspect of consciousness, but not the subject. So these people try to ignore the subjective aspects of consciousness, the serious subjective aspects like relationships. And what do you need consciousness for if you cannot apply it to relationship? So all the discussions of materialist, all that discussions of sociology, psychology, even biology are incomplete discussions. They do very well on the conditioned aspects of consciousness, but fail miserably when the subject needs to choose. Subject needs to have actually a role in the play of consciousness that we are talking about. Quantum physics is allowing us to do this. Quantum physics, quantum measurement problem gives us an opening through which consciousness enters all science. It gives us a quantum science of consciousness and all of consciousness's experience, including the experience as a subject. I am doing this. I am having this experience. That I. It is true that we have a branch of psychology called transpersonal psychology and another branch of psychology called depth psychology. Depth psychology emphasizes the unconscious aspect of consciousness before the subject object split. Transpersonal psychology emphasizes the manifest aspect of consciousness more than the unconscious aspect. That's the difference between the two. But those two psychologists, they have journals, and those journals do justice to consciousness. Their problem is because they leave the material part out, contribution of the brain out, they cannot very well discuss the feedback of the brain and back to the brain, this back and forth feedback that goes on between I and the brain. The psychologist cannot deal with that. Quantum science can. So accordingly, I have written various books, and now that I'm very fortunate to have Dr. Valentin Arnisar working with me for the past 7 years, we have done an enormous amount of writing in this period, including a book on brain, quantum brain. And we just published a monumental integration of all the medicinal practices, both alternative medicine and mainstream materialist medicine, all integrated now. There is a, we could say there is a theory, finally, of medicine. So we can indeed formulate a preventive medicine. But who will publish all this? Psychology, yes, that personal aspect of psychology can be published in Journal of Personal Psychology. But quantum science of health, quantum science of medicine, integration of alternative and conventional medicine, there's no journal. On top of it, we have ourselves running a transformational educational program that gives master's and PhD from an official government approved university in India, University of Technology in Jaipur. And we have been running this program since 2019. We have 3 batches of master students already graduated. Our first PhD just submitted her thesis. I'm looking at it right now. And our students need to publish their papers in a journal. So this gave rise to a necessity that we had to respond. And from time to time, we get people actually, who are working on consciousness from the quantum point of view, quantum worldview. We are not small number by any means. Communication is difficult. This is why we are attempting to communicate to those of you who come to this particular weekend event. Through them, we are trying to publicize this journal. We're just here. Please check out our website, look at the journal, and or tell your friends. And if you want to write a research paper, if you are into research on the paradigm based on the primacy of consciousness using quantum principles, then you're welcome to submit a paper. It is the usual custom of refereeing that we do. We have a committee set up, and the paper will go to the committee, and committee will referee. You will have a chance to rebut the referral of the committee, of the member who did the refereeing. Referee will be anonymous, as usual. After the paper is approved, it will be published. It's a biannual journal, twice a year. But we don't have a page limit. It's purely on the internet. We don't have a print version. It is free, and therefore we can accept any number of papers for publication. Internet, cheap. So I am appealing to you to please spread the word that we now have a journal of quantum science of consciousness and experience. All experiences. You can write your research on love from a quantum point of view, relationship, medicine, psychology, and even business. Years ago, I wrote a book on quantum economics. Ever since, many business people are looking at the model of, can we invoke quantum worldview to business world? What's the advantage? The advantage is that you can treat both selfish interest and community interest. This is the big concern of economics. It really is. I mean, most of economics is based on Adam Smith's capitalism. An outdated way of looking at things, good in its time, contributed enormously in its time, given us a lot of understanding, but now has created this huge gap between rich and poor, different strata of economy. That got to go. It's a very unstable situation. People say that it's even worse than what produced French Revolution, 18th century. We want that again? So people look for, is there a way of introducing common interest, public's interest, not just selfish interest of the producer that goes into capitalism? In view of the very big number of monopolies that you see today, you see how important this is to even keep capitalism vital. So that is also part of the publication. Anything that is related to consciousness, primacy of consciousness, the basic idea, using quantum principles like choice, like non-locality, creativity and discontinuity, not simple hierarchy, but tangled hierarchy. These are important quantum concepts that come in all of the fields that I talked about. So once again, you are invited, A, As a reader, it's completely free, and also as a writer, if you have research contribution to make, or even a review of existing models of consciousness or existing models of experience, you are welcome to submit a paper to us. Now I invite Valentina to give you a description of the very first issue. Valentina?
Right. So yeah, it was a lot of headache to really launch this. It took a lot of time, but because we are extremely perseverant, and finally we got it. I don't know. I think we would have kept trying and trying until we got it, because it is important. Otherwise, you want to write a paper on the latest research on quantum science, and many of the other platforms, they don't really get it in that way. So again, the objective is to offer a platform to serious professionals and researchers, to students especially. Um, so again, there will be a board who will select the papers. It's not that everything that is gonna send it will be published. So especially for those who are more familiar already with the findings of quantum science, and also of other alternative scientific models in the matters to do with the working of consciousness and life, as Amit said. And it's also, again, latest discoveries, quantum physics, psychology, experimental neuroscience. Yeah. And we want to have it be biannual publishing, and just to give you one more hint. So again, it can be even short communications on various research areas in the mentioned fields. And it can be relevant articles that you may have presented in other I don't know, international conferences and seminars, for example. It can be empirical case reports. It can be book reviews. Of course, the plagiarism rule is there, and so many things. So, but we are definitely looking forward to meet you. Yeah. And now let me just open here the page with some of these first articles that were published. So, for example, we have one by Gayatri Shailesh. She's an Indian, born in India, living in US, and her subject was quantum science approach to emotional resolution in the vital energy body. So that's one of them. Then yeah, we have one published again by somebody in USA, Natalia Arias Camps. So all these are PhD scholars. She's an MBA, and her first article was quantum mental health through visualization and an application to anxiety neurosis. All right. Then another one is which I published with Amit, is quantum psychology, integrating the psychologies into one cohesive science of mental health. Then another example is one published by Anil Sina, MTech, and Amit. The article is called Radionics, Sacred Geometry of Pyramids and Quantum Science. And another one is published by somebody from Canada, another PhD scholar, Shweta Rastogi. She's MBA. And again, all of these PhD scholars. So the title of her first article is The Quantum Science of Personality and Enneagrams. All right, so that's just to give you some examples. Yeah. And again, you can just check the link for the journal and read more about author guidelines, and you will get a lot of orientations, and you can really write us an email, and we will get back to you very soon. All right. Kishano?
Thank you, Valentina and Professor Goswami. So, this is about it, what they discussed. So, now you have a platform to express yourself. You have a proper scientific forum where you can even communicate, refine your ideas, and then present them to the world. And just consider this, that this is part of, this is a lot of our PhD students will be using this. Might be you are doing PhD somewhere else, or you are planning to do something. Maybe you are open for a very transformative way of study. Then do contact us. We have courses that will blow your mind. Thank you for watching this, and thank you, Professor Goswami and Dr. Valentina, to take out precious times to be here. Thank you so much. See you next week.